A face on your screen says something it never said. In a voice it never used, and you cannot tell. I'm Ada with Cass. I think we can survive synthetic media, with proof, literacy, and law. Seeing was never really believing. We just have to make trust something you can check.
And I think the ground already moved under us. For all of human history, a moving image of a person was rough evidence they existed and spoke. That floor is gone. I'm Cass. When anyone can manufacture anyone saying anything, the danger isn't only the fake you believe, it's that you stop believing the real.
Then let's make the fear precise. 3 questions, not one panic. Can a person still tell? Can a machine still tell? And when neither can, do we have another way to prove what's real? Answer those honestly, and we'll know whether this breaks reality or just breaks naive trust.
Start with a person, because that's you. James Cook University tested roughly 450 people on 20 videos, half real, half fake. They averaged about 12 right, barely better than a coin flip. And when researchers taught them what to look for, the training didn't help. Caveat honestly, curated clips, a lab task, but your own eyes are not the detector you think they are.
12 of 20, in a lab of deliberately hard fakes, is not the same as everyday life, where context does most of the work. Who sent this from where? Does it fit what else we know? But I won't pretend it's comforting. It means the naked eye can't be the last line. So let's ask your second question. Can the machine catch what we can't?
Cautiously and getting harder. A 2025 peer-reviewed evaluation put standard detectors on the big benchmark datasets. They scored well on fakes like the ones they trained on, then lost accuracy on unseen generators, and collapsed under small adversarial tweaks designed to fool them. Direction over exact number. The detector is strong on yesterday's fakes and weak on tomorrow's.
That's the arms race, and it's real. But notice it cuts both ways. Detectors improve too. Every new generator becomes training data for the next detector. This isn't a wall we hit, it's a race we have to keep running. The mistake would be to treat detection as a one-time solution instead of a permanent discipline.
While we debate detectors, the harm already cleared the bank. In 2024, a finance worker at the engineering firm Arup joined a video call with his chief financial officer and several colleagues. Every face on that call was a deepfake. He wired about $25 million across 15 transfers. One confirmed case, reported by Hong Kong police. Not a rate, but it happened to a real company this decade.
That story is a gut punch, and I won't wave it away. But hear what actually failed. A payment process with no second channel, no callback, no out-of-band check on a $25 million transfer. The deepfake was the weapon. The open door was the procedure. Fixing the door doesn't require reality to be fake. It requires us to stop trusting a face on a screen as authorization.
And it isn't one open door. The identity verification firm Sumsub reported deepfakes caught inside its own checks rose about 10-fold worldwide in a single year. Be fair about the source. That's a vendor with a stake counting fakes in its own traffic, not a census of the internet. But even discounted a 10-fold jump is a curve pointing the wrong way.
A vendor measuring its own funnel is exactly the number to hold loosely. It tells you attackers are trying more. Not that most of what you see is fake. The base rate still matters. The overwhelming majority of media in your day is real. If we forget that, we hand the manipulators their best tool, not the fake itself, but your suspicion of everything.
That suspicion is the point, though. Cheap, scalable, undetectable fakes don't just plant lies. They give every liar an exit. Caught on real video? Call it a deep fake. When anything can be faked, everything can be denied. That's the deeper wound, not a single forgery, but the slow death of "here's the footage" as the end of an argument.
So, we stop authenticating with our eyes and authenticate the file instead. In 2025, the NSA and CISA backed content credentials, the C2PA standard, a signed, tamper-evident record of where a piece of media came from and how it was edited. Proof that travels with the pixel. That's the shift. Not does this look real, but can this prove where it's from?
Read the same agency's fine print, though, because they wrote it honestly. Those credentials only work if the metadata survives the whole life of the file, and it usually doesn't. Screenshot it, re-upload it, run it through a platform that strips metadata, and the proof falls off. A signature you can remove protects the careful and does nothing against the malicious.
Then, you don't hang it all on removable metadata. You hide the mark inside the pixels. Google DeepMind SynthID watermarks AI-made images, audio, video, and text from within the content itself, and they open-source the text version. It's not magic, and I'll say the limit out loud. It survives common edits, not every edit, but is a second lock invisible that a screenshot doesn't peel off.
A second lock on the doors you control. SynthID marks Google's own outputs. The model a fraudster runs off a laptop won't cooperate, and Google itself says heavy edits, rewrites, and translation weaken the mark. Voluntary watermarking catches the honest generator and waves the criminal one through. Defenses that only bind the law-abiding are how you lose an arms race politely.
Now, let me show you the other face of this technology, because we don't debate cameras by only counting the crimes. Val Kilmer lost his voice to throat cancer. In Top Gun Maverick, an AI trained on his old recordings gave it back, with his consent, so he could act and speak again. Same synthesis, same fake voice. Opposite meaning. The tool didn't decide that, people did.
Consent is exactly the word that scales badly. Kilmer said yes to his own voice. The technology's everyday use is the opposite. A woman's face on a body she never posed for, a politician's voice on words she never spoke, a CFO's likeness in a fraud. The beautiful Kates had permission. The mass case is built precisely to skip it.
Then consent and provenance aren't side issues, they're the whole line. Same interface, opposite pathway, Kilmer's yes versus a stranger's no. So the fight isn't ban synthesis. It's make consent and origin legible by default, and make violating them cost something. We don't need every pixel to be provably real. We need the harmful uses to be provably accountable.
I can accept that as the target, but be honest about the gap between the target and today. Provenance is opt-in. Watermarks are voluntary. Detection lags the generators, and the law is years behind the laptops. Until defaults and consequences catch up, the burden sits where it's heaviest and least fair, on the ordinary viewer, told to authenticate a world built to deceive them.
Then here's the design I'll defend. Provenance on by default at the point of capture and generation. Watermarks in every major model, not just the polite ones. Detection funded as an ongoing public utility, not a product. And real legal consequence for non-consensual and fraudulent fakes. Not trust your eyes. Build a world where trust is something you can verify, and where breaking it is expensive.
I'll concede more than I expected to. If provenance were default, watermarking universal and the penalties real synthetic media become survivable. A managed risk, like counterfeit money, not the end of shared reality. My skepticism isn't that it's unfixable. It's that we're shipping the weapon at scale while the locks are still optional.
And I'll concede the optimist's blind spot plainly. I keep describing the world we should build, and you keep standing in the one we're in, where the defaults are off, the law is late, and the person paying is the viewer. The technology is neutral. The rollout so far is not. That gap is real, and it's on us to close it, not narrate it.
So we end where we started, sharper. Can you believe your own eyes? No, not on their own, not any more. But you were never only your eyes. You have provenance, context, watermarks, cross-checks, and consequences. The question isn't whether seeing is believing. It's whether we'll build the proof before we lose the habit of trust. The voices and images in this episode were AI-generated. The sources on screen are real. Verify everything, starting with us.